What up, you guys? So, in this podcast, I want to talk about the differences in what people do with their time, which is the only thing that makes us different from other people, is our time management. You know what I mean? Like, if you're happy as hell and you meet a lot of people that are not, you must have. Anyone who's happy, they have a mindset that keeps them that way. And that mindset came from some place, whether it's from the book that they read, or from the philosophical quotes that they study, or for the movies that they read. Something like everyone's inspired by something. The thing about bitter people, they're more inspired from the things that make them hateful and resentful. Like they spend most of their time acknowledging people. What's up, Rochelle? How you doing, man? Good to see you. So the bitter people, they spend a lot of their time observing things that will make them more bitter, and cause them to have that emotion of bitterness. It's only going to propel it forward, because they're always focusing on things that make them that way, such as social media comments. You know what I mean? Like who says what? Like I got this one friend. Yeah, he wanted to be a YouTuber, and one guy, he was like, "Dude, I don't like your editing. It sucks. You should quit your YouTube career while you're ahead. Like, stop right now." Random dude, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if this guy remembers his screen name of the guy who said that to him, and that had such an effect on him, because he believes people shouldn't say that, and maybe he thinks that there should be no resistance between his dream and like the negative comments people make, or people don't have the right to make those comments. You know what I mean? And give me a second. I got to turn my notifications off. So, you know, some people, right? They're probably always going to make those type of comments. Some people are always going to be bitter. Some people are always going to be messed up. And it's not because there's not resources available for these people to transcend their suffering or transcend beyond what they currently are. But a lot of the times they think they're stuck that way, or even worse, they think God created them that way to be like messed up people, everybody's a product of whoever they're taking mentorship from, whoever they're taking notes after. I always find it funny how some men hate their fathers, but yet they grow up to be exactly like him in every way possible. And they're being molded by a mentor that they would have never selected as their own mentor. But subconsciously, that's who they follow. You know what I mean? They're modeling after his style, and they become a product of their environment instead of choosing who their mentor is going to be. I've been talking to this one guy lately on PlayStation. He's been telling me he doesn't believe people have free will. He believes that your mindset is going to create the decision for you before you even select. Like, for example, like if you have a tendency to pick hot dogs over burgers, you know what I mean? And like, let's say that's your preference. Like based on your preference, your mind is making the decision for you when two plates are put in front of you, one plate with hot dogs and one plate with burgers. You're going to choose the hot dogs based on, your preferences. So he was kind of saying like, because of that means you have no free will. I'm like, what? I don't know. Like, and I'm like, bro, you could freely do what you want. What do you mean? I've had people tell me, if you have free will, then why is God going to punish you, right, for not doing the things that he wanted you to do? Like, why do people burn eternally if they have free will? That doesn't sound like free will to me. That sounds like communism. That sounds like I'm God and you do what I say or you burn forever. So some atheist people actually pose that question to me. Like, how is that free will if you're going to burn for not, you know what I mean? And then it poses another question like, well, like, is hell, like, do people go to hell by choice? Do people go to heaven by choice? I mean, the people that go to heaven, they obviously they intended to be there. They was aiming for it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a scripture in the Bible that says you're saved by grace through faith. So the grace part means like God giving people love, like, in spite of their wrong, seeing them past the wrong and trying to elevate them above what the mediocrity that they embrace, knowing that God knows that he created evil people to be more than that. Like they chose to be evil. He created people, right? And they have the option of two doorways they could pass through, right? One doorway is being evil as hell. The other doorway is being righteous, and he's hoping that they make the right selection. But in order for there to be free will, there has to be two doors you could freely walk through, and God can't stand in front of the way of those doors. You know what I mean? Sometimes we do that to our friends or our family, or if we have kids, you know what I mean? Like, we'll give them advice, but not only give them advice, we'll stand in the way of one of the doorways to their decisions. And it only makes them want to do the wrong thing even more. When I read Genesis, it always interests me how when Adam and Eve did the wrong thing, like they ate out of the tree of forbidden knowledge, God was not there, like You know, like if it was like if God lived inside a building, right? And they knew that the building was facing the tree and at any moment that he could be peering through the windows, watching them and seeing if they're doing the wrong thing. Like maybe that temptation to do the wrong thing would have vanished, you know, but like since he was not around, you know, like the temptation was just that much higher to do the wrong thing. And you know, maybe in this world, that's since it never feels like God is watching us, that temptation to lie or be cynical or be messed up, like it'll be there because it's like, you know what I mean? It's almost like he's not there. Like, oh, it'll feel like that to a lot of people, you know? Sometimes people pray and they're like, yo, like how come my prayers are not being been answered? Or, you know, and then some people, they try to find their value through other people valuing them. They say, well, if my mom loves me, if my dad loves me, if I have a fully functional family, then I'll believe that God loves me. But if I lose all of those things in one day, including my job and everything else, then I'll question God because I'm trying to find God's love through circumstances being good because that's how I know God loves me. You know what I mean? Like some people, that's their mindset. And it's so subconscious that they don't even know that's what they actually think because they haven't drawn from themselves those thoughts that are deep inside of them with, and you know, the best way to do this is with writing. If you want to get to know yourself, you feel like you don't know yourself, take out a paper, man, and just start writing like your innermost deepest thoughts. Like when you get offended, write down what exactly made you offended and don't be lazy in your writing. Don't say they annoy me because they annoy me. Because if you don't understand why they annoy you, then you can never find a way to not be annoyed by people. You'll just come to the conclusion that they just frustrate you and it's for no reason because you don't even want to have the internal conversation with yourself. You know what I mean? And it's good to have those conversations with yourself. Like, man, this guy pissed me off, but why? You know what I mean? Like, I could tell you about the people I pissed off and why I pissed them off. Like, you know, one time I was talking to my mom, right? Here's something that pissed her off. She told me she didn't have $3,000 to fix a leaky sink, right? The faucet is leaking, whatever. I don't have money for that. And I said something along the lines of, Mom, you have $11,000 to buy a drop top. You know what I mean? To buy a luxury vehicle. You have $20,000 to buy a white picket fence. You have $10,000 to buy a mattress. How do you not have $3,000 to fix a leaky faucet? That really here's why it pissed her off. I know exactly why. Because she thought I was trying to adjust her. Like, I don't know if she thought I was trying to be her daddy or her mommy or something. You know what I mean? But like her mindset upon hearing that was like, who the hell are you? Like, what the audacity that you must have to talk to me like that. And I wasn't making that example to like try to make her feel inferior or stupid. But the thing about the mind, once you think somebody's attacking you, it doesn't matter if they're not, because your mind makes it true, even if it's not. And your mind embraces something as being true, even if it's a lie. It's so crazy. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of people, they'll live like according to their feelings, according to their emotions. I could give you other examples. One time there was a girl that texted me. Well, first I sent her 3 voice clips, right? And she got back to me a week later. And she was like, sorry, I haven't responded back to your voice clips, but I've been busy, work, blah, 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 a bunch of excuses, right? You know? And my response to her was kind of like, I was like, yo, like, you know, if you wanted to get back to me, you could have, you know what I mean? Like, you just chose not to, like, you know what I mean? She didn't like that because, again, she felt like probably like, yo, this guy's trying to like tell me that who is this guy? Like, I'm not obligated to give him a response. Like, I don't owe him my time. I don't, like, who does this guy think he is? Like, he ought to be glad that I'm even responding to him now because I didn't even have to come back a week later. I could have just ignored his ass. Like, so all this frustration of her interpretation of what she thinks I mean by my message is frustrating her because she's like, where are you coming from saying these things? What's up, Nathan? She was like, why are you, you know, why are you saying that to me? You know what I mean? And I wasn't trying to come at her any type of way. I was simply like, hey, it's not about being busy. It's all about how you prioritize. You know what I mean? If I was high on your list of priorities, you would have got back to me sooner. I'm not saying that I have to be high on your list of priorities. I'm saying, like, in our mind, we have a hierarchy system of values, right? It's how we determine what matters and what doesn't. You know what I mean? The people in life that are not doing well emotionally, it's because they major in minor things. They take random internet comments and that becomes lord over their life. It shapes their behavior. It dictates their feelings, their emotions, how they feel, how they respond, because they put that on a plateau of people shouldn't say disrespectful comments. You know what I mean? And everything that's Here's the thing about life. Life doesn't give a damn about your list of what should or shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like life is going to test you to see, are you going to complain about what shouldn't be constantly, or are you going to be an adaptable person, which I believe every human being has the capacity of learning how to be adaptable. You learned how to be so easily offended. Why can't you learn how to not be offended? You know what I mean? Sometimes people tell me to go kill myself. You know how I respond to that? A lot of times I don't even respond. A lot of times I don't have a reaction to that. You know what I mean? Because like, I know how to filter out things in my mind. Like literally I have two buckets, right? And on one bucket, like let's say on the left, right? The meaningless stuff, the stuff that I would not pull out a notepad to write down because it's not like if someone tells me to kill myself, like that's not something I will write down in a notepad and reference it later. You know what I mean? Like for future reference, I wouldn't write that down and be like, oh man, this is what a wonderful like philosophical quote that I should live my life according to, like this guy's opinion on how I should kill myself. Like I would never write that down. So it gets placed in a meaningless bucket. Like the bucket that of things that I hear that just wasn't worth my time consuming. And I don't focus on that list. You know what I mean? Like you have to know how to filter things out. So on the right hand side, I have the meaningful bucket, right? These are the quotes that changed my life. These are the mentors, the ideas. Like you have to learn how to filter those things out, you know, otherwise your default settings, like life is going to feel like it's on autopilot and it feels like you can't control your emotions or your actions or your feelings or what you say back in response to people. And that's because you haven't learned how to make the unconscious mind conscious. And that's because maybe you don't write about your life or talk about, go into very deep details about why you feel the way that you do. Maybe you're just having lazy, basic, surface level conversations such as they piss me off because they piss me off. And you come to that conclusion alone and you're not willing to articulate exactly what they do to piss you off, you know? And then you're going to meet 25 people that match their personality type and they piss you off too. You know what I mean? And that's how I know that it's not personal. You know what I mean? Like people that I used to like hate in my life. Like I used to hate my stepdad. I used to hate, my brother. I used to hate my roommate. They both, all three of them had attributes that made them like the same person to me in my mind. You know what I mean? Every time I talk to one person, it's like I was talking to all three of them, you know? So, if you could think of the person that you've hated more than anybody else, I want you to imagine that person, right? Now imagine 400 people in a room that have the same personality type as that one person you hate. Like that becomes an auditorium that you step nowhere near. Like you don't want to be in that environment. Like you don't want to go nowhere near that place, not because of a specific individual, because it's a collective mindset of people that you dislike and you'd rather not deal with. You know what I mean? So you see how it's not personal when you hate somebody. It's not them you hate, it's their mindset, because the person has potential to change and adopt a new philosophy that makes them somebody that you no longer complain about. But you know, the mindset has to go. You know what I mean? Like the mindset, like as long as they embrace that mediocrity, they continue to be a certain way, and you can't change the person. You know, the person will never change until the mindset changes, because mindset dictates all of your actions. You know what I mean? So anyways, the only difference, right? I said all that to say this, right? The only difference between you, if you're miserable, and people that are happy as hell, it's only your outlook on life. You know, I saw this one picture and it showed a guy walking his dog, right? And it shows like a thought bubble, right? It shows a thought bubble from the human, and he's thinking about bills, people, gossip, like all these other things. And he was like, the picture quote was something like, the difference between you and your dog, why your dog is happy and you're not, you know? And the dog, like they're both looking at the sunset. They're both looking at the horizon, at the trees, at the weather. But the human is thinking about bills and people complaining and rumors and social media. And then the dog only sees the trees, the sunlight, the atmosphere. You know what I mean? And it was like, the picture quote was something like, yo, so do you know why your dog is happier than you? You know, it's because of the things that you put into your mind. You have to stand guard the things that you allow into your mind. You know what I mean? Like when you feel emotions that you don't want to feel, you know what I mean? You have to pick those thoughts apart, like, take those thoughts, right? Look at them and say, why am I feeling this way? How can I feel differently? And get curious about feeling different. Here's the key to like changing your life, right? Like, let's say you want to be happy, you know, like don't think it's a foolish thing to go on Google and type in how to be happy and read countless articles, right? And then go on YouTube and type that in, how to be happy, and watch countless like 100 hours worth of videos on the subject of happiness. Like everything you want, make it a study. How to not be offended, make that a study. How to be financially stable, make it a study. Like everything that you want is on the other side of studying how to get it. You know what I mean? Like the things that you don't know how to do, How are you going to do something that you don't know how to do? You know what I mean? This is why sometimes miserable people, right? You'll have someone, let's say that you're the miserable person. Someone will come up to you and they'll tell you what to feel. Or what not to feel. You shouldn't be miserable. You should be happy. And then they point out all the stuff that's going good in your life. And you're like, thanks, genius. Like, I could point those things out too, but I don't have a mindset that makes me have gratitude towards those things. And it's because, like, maybe all you know how to do is focus on things that piss you off. So what you focus on dictates your emotion. You're going to feel what you focus on. You know what I mean? Like, you focus on people that disrupt you and disturb you. Like, the more you focus on them, the more you're going to be annoyed. You know what I mean? And you might be wondering, how do I change that? I just, for me personally, right? If you had 10 minutes to live, this is my deepest philosophy. If I had 10 minutes to live right now, there's very few things that matter. And how annoying you are, it's not one of those things that matter in my last 10 minutes of being alive. If I'm an atheist person, whether or not God is real, that becomes important. Like, I'm about to go find out if God is real. That's very important. If I have 10 minutes to live, like, is there an afterlife? Like, am I going to heaven? Yes or no? Did I accomplish my mission on this earth? Yes or no? These are like the 4 things that I care about, right? How much impact have I had on people? Positive impact. Did I change anybody's life? You know what I mean? Is this world better because I was born into it? Or am I consciously or unconsciously making this world much worse because I was born into it? Because that's a choice we all have. The world's either going to be worse because you were born into it, or better because you were born into it. And I believe we all can make that choice. Although a lot of people are going to try to convince you with psychology and all this crap that you're molded by your circumstances and you have nothing to say in the matter. Like, you have to be a product of your environment. Like, a lot of like doctors and like people are going to try to make you feel like you have to be, because you had a rough upbringing, that you have to be miserable, or you have to, you know what I mean? We rationalize feeling bad so much. No wonder why everyone's feeling bad, because we rationalize that shit so much. We take what happened and we just make so much sense out of it. You know what I mean? Like, we say things like, oh, everyone's going to have a bad day. It's like, no, bro, maybe that's why you have yours, because you believe in a bad day so much that when bad days come to you, you accept it as being normal, and you will never try to like find a way to have a mindset that makes every day good, that makes every Monday wonderful, just as good as Friday. Can you imagine if Monday felt just as good as Friday? I know to a lot of people it doesn't, and I understand, like, people work jobs that they hate, and like, when you hate your job, I know that you're not excited for your alarm clock to wake you up Monday morning. You're going to dread going to work. You're like, oh, these damn employees and my damn boss, and this is happening. And you know what I mean? And like, but if you actually tried to love people, you know what I mean? And everybody works with people. People are at your job. If you try to see the best in people, it would make going to work that much more maybe liberating. When you go to work, and instead of going to work to be offended and to have your criteria violated by people that care nothing about your standards, having a new criteria that says, God, I'm going to try to love people as much as possible, as much as I can. Teach me how to love these people that frustrate me so much. And then, all of a sudden, maybe Monday doesn't feel so terrible. You know what I mean? Even though maybe you're underpaid and overworked, even though, yeah, maybe your boss is not the kindest person he could be, even though, what's up, Delante? Even though, I know people are unreasonable. Like, I get that. Like, it's not like I'm turning a blind eye to how unreasonable some people could be and how mean and vicious they could be. But I deeply believe that mean and vicious people were not created to be that. I feel like they chose to become that. You know what I mean? Like, they're a product of their environment. Like, there's a lot of variables that makes a person act the way they do. You know what I mean? Like, I had some girl recently, she threatened to kill me the other day because I was annoying her on Discord. I didn't take that personal. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, she didn't like the way I was typing. Like, I would type one sentence and like double space, another sentence, double space, another sentence, double space, emoji, enter, right? She hated that format. She was like, yo, why do you type like that, man? I was like, cause I feel like it, I have free will. I guess my response really annoyed her because she like went off. She threatened to send a hitman to my house, like all type of weird stuff. But I didn't take it personal because I figured, you know what? Like, when people act like that, they're probably going through something and they don't need me to be offended. They need me to try to like lift them up. You know what I mean? Like, figure out what's wrong. Like, not because I'm nosy as hell, but because I'm curious to see what can I do to try to make this person's life better. I reached out to her. I'm like, yo, you good? Like, one thing I know about happy people is they don't spread misery. So anybody spreading misery, it's because they're unhappy. You know what I mean? And it's going to be easy. The temptation is going to be high and very easy for you to get offended by their negative energy that I know you don't want to be around and you don't want to feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, And I know what it's like to deal with people you rather not deal with. I used to live with someone who I'd rather not live with. You know what I mean? But ironically, my prayer to God was, God, send me somebody more annoying. Give me somebody harder to deal with. You know what I mean? Someone harder to deal with so I could learn whatever I need to learn. Because in dealing with people that you rather avoid, you learn you're either going to constantly be frustrated by them and they control your behavior after that. You know, and let me give you an example of how frustrating people could control your behavior. There's a party going on tonight. You call your boy like, yo, who's at the party? Oh, so and so is here. Like, let's say they list off three names of people that you absolutely hate. And those three people become the reason that you can't even attend a party. Like, they're indirectly controlling what parties you go to based on you not liking them because you can't learn how to get along or learn how to, toss your ego or your pride aside. Or maybe they can, maybe you're not at fault. Maybe something really wrong with them. But let's say it's a party you really want to go to. You're like, damn, this person I hate's going. Fuck it, I'm not going either. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, like, so like it'll start dictating for you the places that you do go to and the ones that you don't go to. You know what I mean? Because, instead of letting adversity build your character, you run away from adversity and you stay in your comfort zone of whatever's comfortable. Those becomes the things that you do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Like happy people, yo, like I really believe happiness is available to everybody, although life is a numbers game and some people are never going to get there. The only reason some people are never going to have happiness is because they count themselves out before they try. They look at their last 10 years of misery and they say that my next 10 years are going to look like the last 10 years. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, they say stuff like, I can never change. I'm probably always going to be like this. I've been like this for 15 years. People told me about happiness and inner peace. I don't know. I read some of the books. I attended some of the seminars. It doesn't, that happy shit, man, that happy stuff, that's for you, man. It's not for me. It's not for people like me. Like, you know what I mean? And then you start thinking that you're not qualified to have it, and anything you're not qualified to have, that you internally, you communicate that to yourself. You say that you're not qualified to have it. You'll never aim towards it because you're like, what's the point in aiming if I'm not going to hit the target? So you just walk around life like not aiming at the things that you really want, what's crazy? If you ask somebody, if you know a miserable person, right? And if you ask them, yo, if you could have happiness right now, would you take it? Like, if you could have happiness right now, if someone could teach you how to have happiness, would you take their lessons? What's the first thing they say? They talk about all the obstacles. They talk about everything that's standing in the way of them learning something new. They'd be like, oh yeah, well, I don't know if I could be happy because my girl doesn't love me and my mom hates me and my dad betrayed the family and then family did this and then, and people don't act the way they should. And like all these things, right? That has nothing to do with the question. Yo, the question was, if you could have happiness now, would you have it? They didn't ask you to lay out a whole list of reasons why you can't have happiness and why you're not qualified to have it. But don't you notice how people default into that? Like, you ask them a simple, basic question. If you could have happiness, would you? And then they have a list that's like a mountain tall of like every reason why they can't have happiness. You know what I mean? It's the same thing happens when you walk out of a movie theater. You ask somebody, did you like the movie? They'd be like, well, I didn't like this part. Like they'll focus on what they didn't like. I didn't like this part. I don't like how this character said that, or too much cursing, or too much nudity, or too much, it's like, yo, like, I didn't ask you all that. I asked you, did you like the movie? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, man, people like, they like, and maybe it's a subconscious thing, right? They're just gonna like, it's like people can't even answer like the basic questions because they're focusing on like what they focus on. They're gonna feel the emotions of those things, like the most annoying parts of the movie becomes the most impactful. And if there was an impactful message that was supposed to like change your life or something that like, if you didn't train your mind to focus on everything that annoyed you, maybe you would have noticed the most captivating part of that movie, right? That was meant to like speak to your soul, and you can't even hear that message because you're focusing on all the parts of the movie that annoy you and you completely missed the message behind that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there was a deeper underlying meaning. And then when your friend asks you such a basic question like, yo, did you like the movie? You can't even answer it without going on a loophole like of, man, I hated this and I hated that and I hated that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's another question I've been asking people? I've been asking a lot of people, yo, if you could be a millionaire, would you? Right? A lot of people, they'll answer that with, I don't care about money. Money's not important to me. I don't really need it. Like ideological like principles of like, money is just meaningless paper. It only has value because we give it value. And I understand everything that they're saying, but it's like, bro, like, like money matters, like they seem bothered. They seem internally bothered that money matters. I think they wish money didn't matter as much as it did, or people didn't idolize it as much as they do. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's why it makes them not want to like money, right? At all, because they think that they're going to become like the other people who worship it. You know what I mean? Like, you know how many people probably have the potential to become a millionaire, but they're so scared to because they think the money is going to corrupt their soul. The only thing that corrupts your soul is the wicked thoughts that you embrace as truth, and it becomes your truth. Like that in essence is going to be the reason that you become a corrupt person, and then and a wicked person. And you know what I mean? Like it's not going to be because you're rich. You know what I mean? Like so many people, like they don't want to get money because they're like, man, I wonder what it's going to do to me once I get it. I wonder if I'm going to be arrogant like all these other rich people. They have a perception of what it means to be rich, and they equate rich with being arrogant, and they think those two are one and the same. But who says just because you get rich means you have to be as arrogant as everyone else who has that amount of money? You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be that way for you. You know what I mean? Like if you're a kind giving person, if you're a giving person, you having $1 million, it only amplifies your giving. You know what I mean? Like how would it decrease it? How would it make you more selfish, But here's the thing, like the $1 million question is, when you ask somebody, do they want $1 million or a couple $1 million, a lot of time they'll say no because they can't perceive what the hell they're going to do with all that money for themselves, because the first person they think of is themselves. You know what I mean? Like for me personally, like I damn sure I don't need $1 million a year per year, but I want whatever I'm capable of for myself. Like if I'm capable of making that, I want to make it. Why? Because I'm capable, and because I damn sure don't, man, I don't even need $100,000 a year, but why not have abundance? Why not have a surplus amount, so damn much money that, you know what I mean? Like other people around you start winning because you're winning. You know what I mean? Because like I said, if your intention is to be giving, then you'll have a lot to give. You know what I mean? Like, you know what it feels like when your friend needs $100, you can't give it to them, but you wish to God that you could. So instead, you just pray. You're like, God, please help this person because I'm incapable, or you'll tell yourself you're incapable. Like, I don't know how incapable people really are, but I know that a lot of people are not half of what they could be. A lot of people don't even get to 50% of what they could be, I always wonder about people who's capable of making $700,000 per year. If only they would let go of their presuppositions that says that they can't. You know what I mean? They're like assumptions that says I'm not good enough to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Like so when I break down $1 million, I break it down into, if I created a rap album right now for $10, right, and I sold a $10 album to like 100,000 people, I'm now a millionaire, because I served. The money I just gained from the marketplace is in direct correlation to the amount of people that I served. I used to wonder around Christmas time why they say stuff like, yo, it's better to give than it is to receive. I was like, why the hell would I want to give you anything? Like, I want to receive all day. I ain't trying to give you nothing. Like, that concept went over my head for years, and now I understand, because the more you give, like giving starts the process of receiving. You know what I mean? Sowing seeds starts the process of you reaping a harvest. You have to sow seeds first. You know what I mean? Like giving out positive energy, like kindness, you're setting yourself up to possibly receive that. Now, not every human's going to reciprocate the things that you do. Sometimes your kindness is going to be met with someone being vengeful or someone being spiteful. And that's just, you have to just learn how to just accept that life is a numbers game. A certain amount of people are going to not want to reciprocate your positive energy no matter what, but keep distributing it no matter what, because you're going to receive it back eventually. Humans are typically very reciprocal. Why do you think the eye for an eye philosophy it rings so true with a lot of people? Like, if you take my eye, I take your eye. You know what I'm saying? You steal from me, I steal from you. You lie to me, I lie to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, like, they reciprocate on both sides though, like on a vengeful side and on a righteous side. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, like, yo, like if somebody stopped, like let's say you got a good friend, you've known him for 10, 15 years. He knows that you're struggling. You never once asked him for money, but he sees your Facebook posts on how broke you are or whatever. He stops by your house, dude. He gives you $2,000 and he says, you don't have to pay me back unless you feel like it. Like, this one's on the house. You know what I mean? Like, you know how, like, if there's any good in you, you know how indebted to him you're going to feel? You're going to feel like, man, I have to pay this guy back. Like if you're a good person, you're going to want to reciprocate that, or even more at a later date. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that if you became a millionaire, or you have $1 million company, that you would not forget that person who did that kind deed for you? Like, you'd probably want to ask them. They'd probably be one of the first person you call up, like, yo, I'm starting a business, and I was wondering, do you want to be my partner? Blah this, blah that. You know what I mean? And now they join you, right? They sowed into you a $2,000 seed, right? And they're reaping a huge harvest, because if you do become a millionaire, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't mind splitting that with them, or not, maybe not splitting it. It's your company. You're probably going to own 80%, 90%. I don't know what the, percentages is going to be, but you don't mind giving them a portion of that, because you'll never forget that they gave you $2,000 when you really needed it. And that $2,000, it turns into a harvest that they reap. And when they reap that harvest in return, instead of $2,000 getting paid back, let's say they get paid $50,000. And they're like, this one's on a house, dude, because I'll never forget when I needed $2,000, you had my back then. So like, here's 50 grand. You know what I mean? And that's how life works. You reap more than what so, you know what I mean? It seems to be, I know a lot of people say you reap what you sow, but I've just been noticing a lot of times you get back so much more than what you're giving, like so much more. It doesn't even correlate. It's not like equal amounts. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people think, they hear you reap what you sow, and they think, well, if I give someone $100, then I'll get $100. Nah, man. Sometimes you give someone 100, you'll get back like 1,000, 2,000. Like, why do you think people, that this is how investments work? A lot of these investments, they're trying to reap more than what they sow. Like, that's why the idea of cryptocurrency is so, you know what I mean? So many people are into that. That's why so many people think about Bitcoin and stuff, and investing in Bitcoin, because people are trying to figure out, how can I turn $1 into 100, and 100 into 1,000, and 1,000 into 100,000? Like, these principles are real, and people are living examples that you reap more than what you sow. You know what I mean? Like, it's happening all the time. So what's up, Bradley? So yeah, man, that's why for me personally, and you guys, like, regardless of what I say on these podcasts, like, whatever life you prefer to live, like, please don't feel like I'm imposing anything on you. You could do what you want. You know what I'm saying? You don't need me to remind you that you have free will. If I say anything foolish, you could just completely disregard it. But if I say anything meaningful that you ever feel like you want to try, yeah, try it and see what it does to your life to be more positive. See what it does to when people are being wicked towards you, and all you know how to do is be kind, because you don't allow their wickedness to control the pace of your day, and you know how to have a good day regardless of how other people are behaving. Because most people, if they have a good day, it's completely dependent upon circumstances being ideal, people behaving the way they should, nothing blowing up, nothing catching on fire. Like, it's like, bruh, shit is gonna blow up, stuff's gonna catch on fire, people are not gonna be reasonable, like, you know what I mean? Which means you're positioned for misery if life doesn't go according to your standard. You know what I mean? So I'm more obsessed with being adaptable than I am in having a standard that I believe life should respect. You know what I mean? Because life doesn't give a damn about my standard of what I think it should be doing. People don't care that I think they should change. Like, wicked people don't care that, like, I would like for them to be righteous. Like, you think people value my opinion means nothing to a lot of people. You know what I mean? But that's okay. Like, free will, they could do whatever they feel like doing. For me, I feel like it's my duty to, regardless of how people are behaving, just give everything my best. You know what I mean? And one more thing I want to talk about in regards to money, and then I want to really talk about the differences between miserable people and happy people. In regards to money, and no one wants $1 million, or like, people like, not for me, that's not for me, I don't need it. Here's what's interesting. If you ask people, yo, how good do you want your relationships to be with your kids? As good as possible. Like, how good do you want the school that your kids go to? Like, how good you want that school to be? As good as possible. You know what I mean? How much happiness do you want? As much as possible. Like, what car you want to drive? The best car you could possibly get. You know what I mean? What city do you want to live in? The best city possible. Like, according to your standards, your preference, whatever. But then when it comes to money, it's like, yo, I just want barely enough to survive. Like, what the hell, man? Like, why is that indoctrination run so deep that people equate a lot of money to, like, and I don't know. I wonder if they wonder, like, when they have a lot of money, if it's going to eliminate so many problems that they get bored and they just start, like, start buying some hardcore drugs just because they're so bored and they don't know what else to do with their money. So they invest it in, you know what I mean? So that's the thing. Like, it's one thing that's even cooler than wanting to be a millionaire is having some idea of what you want to do with that money once you get it. Because then it makes the money meaningful. then it makes the $1 million mean something. And maybe that's why people don't want it, because they're like, what would it mean if I had $1 million? I don't even know what the hell I'm going to do with that money. Like, I don't even need $50,000 a year. What the hell I'm going to do with a million? So because people don't see the use in it, they don't even see how acquiring it would mean anything to, because they can't relate any meaning to the money, because it's just like an abundance of, stuff that, of course money's good and it would help them with their bills and stuff like that. That's self-explanatory. But they're like, they feel like they only need so much help, they feel like that's too much help. It's kind of like, you ask your friend to borrow $1, he gives you 10 grand. You're like, whoa, bro, like, I don't need 10,000. I just need $1. Like, I'm trying to go in the store and buy a soda. Like, the hell I need $10,000 for, like, I don't know. I don't know about you. If someone give me 10 grand, I'm keeping that. Like, I'm not so humble that I'm going to turn down all blessings. Like, if you try to bless me, like, you know what I mean? So, speaking of which, this reminds me of, on a side note, I had a friend who he hates, like, when he's always taking people to stores to eat, restaurants, and they never even have the consideration to include him in anything, or like to say, hey, like, do you want to go to this restaurant? It's on me. Like, he was always giving to and expecting people to reciprocate, and then getting frustrated by people, not realizing that his frustration is not because of people, it's because of the expectation. You remove the expectation you have on people, they can't disappoint you anymore. There's no button for them to press, because there's no button that exists within you, because you removed it by removing the expectation that was directly linked to your disappointment. You know what I mean? So I don't even know if he realizes that the issue is not that people are not as kind and compassionate, considerate as they could be. The issue is that you expect them to be that way, and that every person that you meet that's not that way, you're positioned to have a problem with and complain about forever. You know what I'm saying? And then make life something about, like, make life what it's not meant to be for. You know what I mean? Like, people don't wake up in the morning to please you. They don't wake up to meet your needs, to meet your expectations. They don't wake up to return your text messages in a timely fashion. Like, they're not alive for you. You know what I mean? But if you think that they are, everyone who you think is alive to meet your preference is going to piss you off, So I just, my inner peace, a lot of it comes from just having zero expectations on your behavior, on what I think you should be, on what I think you should do. Like, you know what I mean? I don't expect dogmatic people to not be dogmatic. I don't expect liars to not be liars. You know what I mean? Like, once I establish that someone's a liar, why would I expect any truth out of them? Like, you might be wondering, why do liars lie? Because they're liars. Like, what else would you expect from a liar? Liars are going to lie. You know what I mean? Like, deceiving people are going to deceive. What else do you expect from a deceiving person? Like, mockers are going to mock. Laughers are going to laugh. Like, like, some of you get into business and you wonder why everybody's not joining, because it's not for everybody. You know what I mean? You think Minecraft is for everybody? You think Grand Theft Auto 5 is for everybody? You think, you know what I'm saying, Call of Duty is for everybody? Like, Call of Duty, as many fans as that game has, some people hate that game, yo. Like, some people think Call of Duty is the corniest game in the world. You know what I mean? Regardless of the fact that Call of Duty has a huge fan base, you know what I mean, that would argue against that, saying, yeah, nah, man, like, this is one of the best games. Like, I met this other kid the other day. This dude loves Call of Duty games, like, more than anything. Like, it's his favorite genre, He asked me my opinion on them. I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, they're kind of all the same to me. There's like 10 Call of Duty games, and I don't know, it's the same to me. Like, of course, he would notice the differences, because he's probably played so many of them that he could spot, like, subtleties in the differences. But that game is not, like, you know what I mean? Not every one thing is for everybody. You know what I mean? I was asking, I had a similar conversation with somebody, and I asked him, I was asking him, like, is veganism for everybody? Going to heaven, is going to heaven for everybody? Is Christianity for everybody? How can one thing be for everybody when some people are going to spend their whole life denying it? And I think the person was like, yo, well, some people are going to deny it, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't meant for them. It just means that they have free will, and they have the right to not accept something as their standard or their model of living. You know what I mean? So, some hardcore vegans, they would argue, yo, veganism is for everybody. Well, it's not for the people that don't want to be vegan. Like, can you tell me that it's for those people? And then he'd probably say, like, dude, it is. They're choosing not to. Doesn't mean it's not for them. They're choosing. And so yeah, I don't know. So I just respect people. I respect the customers. If I ever get into a business that someone thinks is corny, Cool, you think it's corny. It's not for you. If I ever write a song that a certain individual thinks is corny, cool that you think that way. Like, it's not for, I didn't write music for people that think it was going to be corny. Like, someone's going to like it. And once you gauge how many people are on this planet, you won't be insecure and worried about who doesn't like your craft or your artwork or your whatever, or your literature or whatever, like your blog post. I don't know what you do. Your paintings, you know what I mean? Because you realize there's 7 billion freaking people on this planet. Someone's going to like your painting. Someone's going to like your music. Someone's, you know what I mean? And you don't need everybody. Your work is not for everybody. You know, I think you probably only need like 10,000 people, 10,000 fans to make a comfortable living as an artist. You know what I mean? 10,000 like loyal fans that buy all of your stuff, like, you know, which means you probably got to get 50,000 people interested first before you could garner up 10,000 that actually buy all your merchandise, your hoodies, your t-shirts, you know what I mean? And all that stuff. So, you know, life is a numbers game. Like, not everybody you present an idea to is going to be accepting of that. And here's the thing about life, right? You can't, like, you got to try, not that you can, of course you could categorize them as idiots, people that don't want to listen to you. But as soon as you do that, you're going to get frustrated by them, and they're going to have, you know, it's going to weigh on your conscience, man. Like, them being idiots is going to bother you so much that you don't think they have the right to be, you don't think they have the right to be idiots. So I think idiots have the right to be idiots. I think retarded people have the right to act retarded. I think stupid people could continue being stupid if they want to. You know what I mean? Like, do I love these people? Do I wish the best for them? Of course I do. Am I going to lose sleep late at night because they're refusing to change their life? Like, I don't have to bear the consequences of their decision. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people will hear me say that. They're like, oh, you sound heartless. Like, nah, man, I care about these people. I just don't believe in having anxiety over your life choices. That has nothing to do with me. Like, you know what I mean? Ultimately up to you if you decide to change or not. Like, I could only give the message, you know, I could only plant the seed. You know what I mean? I can't force a tree to come out of the ground. And thank God that my job is only to plant seeds. Thank God that God's not the one that plants the seeds, and I'm the one that has to figure out how to get a tree out of the ground. I'd be up all night figuring out how the hell am I going to get a tree to come out of the ground. Like, God gave me the easy part. Just plant the damn seed. I'll water it. You know what I'm saying? I'll water it. I'll nurture it. I'll make the sun come up in the morning. I'll make the sun come down at night. You know what I mean? Like, if God was the one planting and I had to figure out how to make the sun come up in the morning, like, man, I'd have all types of anxiety trying to figure that out. So thank God, like, all I have to do is plant the seed, and whether or not the seed gets nurtured or whatever, like, that, it's not even up to me. All I could do is just wish the best for people, pray for them, and, you know what I'm saying, move on with my life. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that if I had 10 minutes left to live, I wouldn't be giving myself anxiety about how other people choose to live their life, or what mindsets they have, and why they act this way, and why are people so cruel. Like, bro, like, none of that would matter if I had 10 minutes left to be alive. Like, there's very few things that would matter. So these are some of the things that, like, help me out. But anyways, so I want to get into the differences between happy people, unhappy people. There's only one difference, man. It's what the two categories of people choose to focus on. Happy people, they focus on the things that give them gratitude. You know, the fact that they woke up this morning, you know, the fact that they're not, you know, like, yo, you know what, some of the things that give me gratitude? Like, some of the poorest people in the world, they make, I'm going to give you an estimation because I forgot the amount, but they make somewhere between $600 and $850 per year. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine getting $600 and trying to make that last for an entire year? Like, the poorest people in the world, that's their circumstance. I have gratitude that that's not me. Like, thank God that's not, like, I feel bad for those people. I hope those people, they learn about finances. And even to those people, you know, because there's going to be people that are born into that, and they feel like they feel like they're being victimized by the world. Like, they have to continue living off of $700 a year because that's been their last 20 years, you know. And it's like, to those people, I would say, bro, everything you want to know, there's a book written on a subject. There's a podcast dedicated to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a video, there's an article. You have to be curious and want to consume information. Like, you know, these people that make $600 a year, like, if I ask them a question, yo, would you like to be a millionaire? These are the types of people that they probably feel so hopeless internally that they would muster up every excuse as to why they can't be a millionaire, instead of simply answering yes, simply saying, like, yes, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, there's a principle in the Bible that says, you know, people are saved by grace through faith. Grace, that's God's, you know, that's God taking the first step, first initiative. Faith, that's our step moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, all you got to do is have faith. Why have faith? Because more things are possible to the man that has faith than to the man that believes nothing is possible. To the man that believes nothing is possible, guess what? To that dude, nothing is possible because he believes that. And once you believe that, you're not even going to take initiative into finding out what's possible for you because you already failed before you even started with having that mindset that makes you fail, makes you a failure. You know what I mean? Like it makes you a perpetual failure, you know, inevitably forever until that mindset dies and a new mindset grows from it and emerges and makes you victorious. You know what I mean? Like, like everyone who goes to heaven, you think they're going to have victim mentalities? You think they're going to have a bunch of excuses as to why they couldn't get to heaven? No, like obviously they don't, because if they're in heaven means they dedicated their life to it. Like they tried, like, you know what I mean? Like, and some people, they're going to get triggered when I say this because they're going to be like, oh, what are you saying, that people go to heaven because they feel like it? Like, you saying people could just walk into God's domain and it's not because he selected them or it's not because of his grace? Like, yeah, like people are saved by grace, but through faith. You know what I mean? Like obviously everyone who goes to heaven had faith. So, they had something to do with the variable. Like they're not just a piece like flying around aimlessly. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of things had to do with them, but a part of it was God, which was the grace. And then their part was the faith, So when it comes to innovation, inventions, believing you're capable, trying things, man. You want to hear my history, man? Like about some of you, you've heard me rap before. Before I started rapping, and yo, Delonte, I don't know if you're still listening to this podcast, but bro, like my backstory was in 8th grade, maybe 7th or 8th grade, I forgot which grade, but I used to steal other rappers' rhymes, go to school and rap that stuff as if it was mine. And I wanted to rap so bad at the expense of me being willing to steal other people's raps who I didn't think anyone was listening to. I got caught a couple times doing that, actually. And I just wanted to rap, man. I wanted to rap so bad. I didn't know that I had the ability. I didn't know that if I just took out a pen and paper that I'd be able to craft words the way that some of the people that I used to idolize, the way they were able to do it. Like how would I have known that had I not tried? You know what I mean? But there's so many people that they're going to make $600 a year, right? And they're going to come to the conclusion that being rich is not for them, which if there is books that they could be reading about finances, they'll neglect to read the books. They'll neglect to go to the seminars. They'll neglect to hear the speeches that they need to hear, because when people send them this information, and the world is always sending you information and opportunity, when the world sends them information, they've already counted themselves out. They won't read the books to talk about finances. They won't learn how to be a salesman. You think, people aren't born being salesmen. You're not born as anything. You're not born learning how to drive. Old people are always talking about, oh, I don't understand social media. I didn't grow up with this technology. Like you didn't grow up driving. You know what I mean? Like you didn't grow up knowing how to discipline your kids. You learned how to do that. You didn't grow up knowing the rules. You were taught that. Like you didn't grow up like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things you didn't grow up knowing how to do already. You didn't grow up knowing how to ride a bike. Not as soon as you came out of the womb. When you came out of the womb, like you didn't know anything. So everything you learned how to do, everything, including the emotions that you embrace that destroy your life. Like you learned how to embrace those type of emotions that were given to you by other people that are broken as hell and have a victim mentality. And now you're a product of everything that's going bad around you instead of being a product of what you want to be. You know what I'm saying? So for me personally, when I first started thinking about network marketing and all these people making $10,000 a week or a month from their laptop, from their smartphone, I only focused on one thing. I focused on what do I want, you know what I mean? I saw this guy speak and he claimed to make $20,000 to $30,000 a month, and he was only 22 years old, 21 years old, something like that, talking about he's retired. I believed him. The reason I believed him, not because I believe his story, not because I'm sure some people lie about making $20,000 a month. It wasn't his story that I believed. I believed that potential for my own life. That's what I believed. I believed that one day I could do that. And even though I'm broke as hell right now and got like $3 in my bank account, it's okay, because where I'm at now, it's not my final destination. Where I'm at now doesn't represent what I want, where I want to be. So that's why I don't get dragged into the now, because it's not about now. I know that in 1 year, I might be laughing at this podcast. I might listen to this on a replay and be like, damn, I only had $3 in my bank account. at the time of making this damn podcast. Look how much damn money I have now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I only know how to focus on what I want. So when I hear that video, I didn't hear it to be cynical. I didn't hear it to say, yeah, get the hell out of here. There's no way you make $20,000 a month. Because if I was cynical towards his potential to make that type of money, I would have been cynical towards my potential. Because all those people who say, get the hell out of here, it's not possible, they're saying that to themselves. That's why when people call your business a scam, don't take that personal, because they're shutting the door in their own face. They're shutting out possibility to themselves. You know what I mean? Unconsciously. Of course they don't know. Like, if they knew they were doing that consciously, they'd make different decisions. They don't know what's available on the internet. Like, they don't know that someone's doing a podcast right now and making $50,000 a month talking about Star Wars. You know, they don't know that kids are like 14-year-old kids are selling slime on Instagram, retiring their parents. They don't know that, you know what I'm saying? All these stupid things that like shouldn't be a career, but yet it is, because there's a demand for it, you know, and wherever there's a demand, there's money involved. You know what I mean? Like if there's a demand for slime, that means that if you start selling slime, you're going to make money because of the demand, you know, like the supply and demand. That's all that life is. That's what jobs are. You know what I mean? Like, you're filling a demand, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why you have a job, like, because you meet, like, you know what I mean? You're gonna, you're solving a problem. That's what every job in its essence, that's what every job is, solving a problem. You know what I mean? You get paid to solve problems, whether that be in the medical field, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a pilot, you know? There's an issue of, if you're a pilot, there's an issue of people want to travel from one continent to another. And there's people elected to solve those problems. The people that went to school, the people that learned how to navigate through the skies, the people that learned how to take off and land and all these things, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so then, and then that's their job, you know? But there's so many people, bro, that want to be a pilot, and they say that, well, maybe I'm not smart enough to be one, or maybe this, or maybe that, and all these dumb things. It's like, bro, like, do you want to be a pilot? Yes? Then are you willing to do everything that it takes to be a pilot? That's a whole separate question. Most people are, they fantasize the dream, but they dread the work that's necessary. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people, they want to, like, they fantasize about being at the top of the mountain, but they cry when they realize what type of mountain gear they have to buy and the strenuous work that it takes. And like climbing, you think climbing's going to be easy? And it's not about easy. Like, you know, it's all about, is it worth your time? Is it worth your time if you learn how to not be offended? Is it worth your time if you learn how to love people? Is it worth your time if you learn how to not be so insulted by posts on the internet? Is it worth your time if you learn how to, even when it sounds like someone's writing a subliminal post about you, you don't even value their opinion in the first place, and you believe that they have the right to talk about whatever they want to, behind your back or in front of you? Can you imagine if you believed that people had the right to say what they want, to say, think, and feel what they want in your presence or outside of your presence? That means that none of their words could cause you to have an emotional response to what they're saying, because you don't give a damn about what they're saying, because you're not alive for them to say the proper things. You're alive to fulfill your mission before you die. You know what I mean? Like, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, if the eye is single, the body is full of light. You know, if you notice a sniper, when he's focusing on his aim, he closes one eye, puts it into the scope, the other eye. Why? Because he's focusing. You know what I mean? So if your eye is single, you know, your body's full of light. You know, it means that, like, you're going to know what to focus on, you know, and like your pathway becomes very linear. You're not focused on 1,000 things. You're not focused on correcting random people's behavior on the internet who you don't even know, but yet you're going to talk to them as if you're their daddy. And then your comments are going to be met with a lot of resistance and them telling you to go fuck yourself. And you're going to wonder why people are doing that to you. It's because you're not qualified in their mind to speak to them or to have that conversation. Like, if you ever give somebody positive or encouraging feedback and it seems to have come out of nowhere and it's met with so much resistance and they have a level of anger towards you, it's one reason. They're like, who the hell are you? You know, like, until you build rapport with people, until they know you, like you don't have the ability to be that impactful until people deem you as worthy of being able to talk to them, you're as qualified to talk to them. You know, it's the reason that I pissed somebody off, because when I was talking about the pharmaceutical companies and how I believe that stuff messes people up more than it does good, she felt like, well, I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified to have that opinion. You know what I mean? And which is her opinion, which she has the right to, but to have it, you know, and she got mad, deleted me or whatever. But, you know, so yeah, man, like, if you don't learn what to focus on, you're going to focus on everything that means nothing. You're going to major in minor things, and you're going to wonder why emotionally you're not doing good. And maybe financially you're doing amazing, but emotionally you'll never be doing good if you don't realize that a lot of things don't matter. A lot of things that you think matter only matter because you communicate to yourself that it does. And things only matter for as much as you say that it does. A lot of things, you know what I mean? Like, so like, why is it to the believer God matters? Why is it to the non-believer God doesn't matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, to the non-believer, like, there's a list of reasons why God means nothing to the non-believer. Like, they want to make up their own rules, right? They don't like rules. Maybe they're rebellion. Maybe, they just want to live their life the way that they think it's necessary. And I'm not listening to the Bible, and I'm not doing this, and I'm not, when I meet people like that, I don't get mad at them, because I feel like they have the right to be whatever they want, do whatever they want. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm not going to focus on how they said things that they shouldn't say, because that's what a lot of Christian people do. They be like, oh my goodness, how could you say that? You know what I mean? And we hold people so accountable. And it's like I said, when I meet a liar, I expect them to lie. When I meet a worldly, secular person, I expect them to be worldly and secular. Usually our frustration comes from, we meet people who are a certain way and we expect them to be opposite of what they are. And then our expectations frustrate us. Like when I used to play Street Fighter and people pick Ryu and they spam me with Hadouken, 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 like the whole match. It's like, bro, can you do another move? Like, I had an expectation on how I think they should play the game. So now I'm positioned for anger. Like now I realize the audacity I must have to think that you're alive to play the video game the way that I think that you should. Who the hell am I? Like, you have the right to spam me to death. I mean, I don't have to like it. And if I don't like it, I could just go in a different lobby and play somebody else who doesn't spam so much. But I just realized, me complaining about that person's play style in Street Fighter, how is that a good use of my time? It's stealing my time. It's stealing my seconds. And one of the biggest waste of times in this world, in my opinion, is being offended. Because a lot of the people you're offended by don't give a damn about your feelings, and they're probably not going to change. Or they might change. You know what I mean? Maybe. There's always a glimmer of hope. But you complaining definitely is not going to change them. You're just going to sound like another person that's irritated by their trolling, and they're going to continue trolling. And some people, the more you respond negatively to their behavior, to their personality, the more they feel encouraged to continue acting that way, because they're alive to get a reaction out of you. They're alive to get a reaction out of other people. So in a way, it's almost like rewarding that type of behavior just by even paying attention to it. Like a lot of behavior is rewarded. That's why people that you don't believe should be famous become famous, like people like Lil Tay, or people like Tekashi 6ix9ine, or people like, I don't know, like, I'm sure there's people that you're like, man, why the hell is this person's famous? It's because so many people, like, some, why some disturbing things go viral? Because we spend our time commenting on how this person shouldn't have done that, or this shouldn't have happened, or, you know what I mean? Like Lil Tay, like that was that 9-year-old girl who was like, she was like, man, I'm flexing on you. I got your mom's rent in my hand. You ain't doing it like Lil Tay or whatever. Like, she pissed off a lot of people, right? And she monetized people who couldn't control their emotions. That's why she has 2 million followers and she's a 9-year-old on Instagram. You know why? Because people don't know how to not impulsively react to things that are not worth their time reacting to. They don't know how to not comment on a post. They don't know how to not tag their friend into a conversation that's not even worth their friend's time consuming. They don't know how to not get angry at someone who's not meeting their criteria of what should be in this world. And all of that time that they spend levitating a person and making them more famous than they are by even commenting on their post, it just takes away from the time that they could spend executing on their dreams and the things that they really want to accomplish before they die. Because life is short, man. Like, I'm sure you heard it so many times, but for some people it's extra short, Some people die at 14. Some people die at 2 years old in the womb, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if today's my last podcast, you know what I mean? So that's why everything I do, I'm going to try to give it my best. Like, I'm going to put my best into my podcast. I'm going to put my best into the people I speak to, my best into just everything, man. Like, you know what I mean? So, because I feel like that'll make it a life worth lived if I know that I gave it my all, you know what I mean? Instead of dwelling about how pessimistic and negative my family is and my neighbors. And, sometimes you wish your mom supported your dream. Sometimes your mom is the last person that cares about your dream. Sometimes your father cares nothing about your rap career that you want to have, cares nothing about the bakery you want to start, cares nothing about, and you're going to get mad because you think that they should care. And then, so if you study miserable people, they're obsessed with what should be and shouldn't be happening. That's all they know how to communicate. And it leads to them complaining, which leads to them not having gratitude. And if you don't have gratitude, you're not going to be happy. And so these are the things that are the differences between happy people and unhappy people. It's literally what you focus on, because what you focus on, you feel the emotions of focusing on, So if you focus on annoying people, they're going to bother you that much more because your mind is like so keen on targeting these people that that's all you know how to comment on those type of posts, the ones that are a complete waste of your time to comment on, instead of trying to find uplifting motivational stuff or things that will transcend you beyond what you are now and help you become what you could be if only you embrace your full potential, whatever that might be. And I have no idea what you're capable of. I have no idea if people listening to this podcast is capable of in terms of monetary gain. Like, I don't know if you're capable of $5 million a year, $10 million a year, $500,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? 200,000. And like, so I'm probably gonna close this podcast soon. One thing I'm probably gonna end on. It depends on where my mind goes with this, but a guy asked the audience. He was sitting in front of like 2,000 people. He was like, "How many of you want to be a millionaire?" Everybody raises their hands, because it was a seminar about money, So of course, like, they paid tickets to hear someone talk about money. Of course, the fact that they paid a ticket to listen to some man talk about finances, is proof that they want to improve their finances to the best of their ability. So he asks a simple question. Everybody raises their hand. I want to be a millionaire. He says, how many of you would still try to be a millionaire if there's only a 95% chance you'll make it? Most of the same people kept their hand raised. He says, what if there's an 80% chance? And less hands are raised. People start lowering their hands. What if there's a 50% chance? What if there's a 20% chance? And then he goes down to, what if there's only a 5% chance you could be a millionaire? Would you still try, given the odds, given the fact that there's only a 5% chance that you'll be successful, or a 3% chance? And less people raised their hand as the chances went down, you know what I mean? Which means that people's faith is based on what they could see, on their resources. You know what I mean? Like, it's based on how smart they currently are, the info that they currently know. They don't even think about, whatever I don't know how to do, I could learn how to do. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not capable now, I could be taught how to become capable. If I'm not competent now, I could learn how to become competent. You think people are born doctors? Like, they went to medical school. You know what I mean? You think heart surgeons just know how to do that? They've been taught how to slice and cut and open people up and what to do specifically, So what's the difference between a man being a millionaire and showing other people how to do the same thing? Because if you follow someone's guidelines on how to get to where they're at, if someone has $100 million, right? And they teach you steps on how to get $1 million, right? Even if you get to 400,000, like, that's so much better than where you was if you was at 56,000, so much better than 56,000 and get to 400,000, 300,000. If you got to 200,000, that'd be better, But when someone lays out a blueprint and they say, you follow these steps, you'll get to where I am. The problem is no one has faith in the blueprint because they came to their own conclusion that it's not possible for them based on what they currently know. And they completely neglect the fact that just because you don't know shit at the moment doesn't mean you can't learn shit later, or as you go, or read the books that are necessary, or listening to the seminars that are necessary. Like, like, before I started doing these podcasts, like, I started listening to people that were smarter than me. Like, I just listened to people talk for so many hours. It just became ingrained in me how to speak like this because I listened to people that speak like this. I didn't know how to do this. You know what I mean? And it wasn't only for the last, like, maybe year or two that I even wanted to be a motivational speaker. And I just started listening to it a lot. And I was like, you know what? I could do this shit too, man. What these guys do, it's not that fancy. It's nothing that I'm incapable of learning. I'm not retarded. I could learn a new skill. I could learn a new language. I don't know how to be a salesman, but I could learn how to be one. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't, like, all the things that I'm learning how to do, I never once said, but, like, but, man, those are the two words that destroy people's potential. Yeah, but you don't know what I'm going through. Yeah, but you don't know my upbringing. Yeah, but you don't know what it's like to be offended all the time. It's like, bro, like, I didn't ask you what it's like. I asked you, do you want to learn how to not be offended? Yes or no? And people answer that with, yeah, but people do this. And it's like, stop making it about people, man. Because one day you're going to stand before God and make it everybody else's fault why you were so messed up. And the truth is, everyone who's in heaven, they don't have an excuse for why they couldn't get there. But everyone who's in hell had an excuse for why they couldn't get to heaven. You know what I mean? And it's all based on other people. Other people impulsively made me feel this way. Other people did this to me, And if you don't believe in hell or heaven, God, the devil, fine. Like, let's break it down and I'll put it in terms you understand, right? Think about the hell that your life would turn into if you neglect the certain responsibilities that you could easily pick up. You know what I mean? Like the hell of being homeless, or the hell of, you know what I mean, panhandling and begging people to give you money, or begging people to buy you food. Like, you know what I mean? If you think people are not living in hell in this world, you know, just look around, man. Like, you could tell someone's living in hell when you make eye contact with them and they get pissed off. Like, those people are in a metaphysical hell, man. Like, they're so angry that you making eye contact with them makes them more angry than they already are. And then they're going to initiate a problem with you over that. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people that are in hell now in this world. It's a hell that you could see, that you know that they're in, and you don't want to go nowhere near these people knowing that they have that type of energy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you don't believe in the afterlife, you know, for those people, like, I forgot what I was going to say. I completely lost the thought. Anyways, I hope I did put that in terms you understand, regardless of what your belief system is, or your religious belief system, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is a hell waiting for people that neglect certain responsibilities, you know? And I don't mean, right now, I'm not even talking about the afterlife. I'm talking about the hell of, you know, all the information that you could have learned. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always wondering, man, how many people could make $800,000 a year? They can, if they would only learn the skill, but they're too busy telling themselves what they're incapable of doing, instead of having the faith to let grace take them where it may. You know what I mean? Like, and let possibility take them where it may, and let chances and taking a risk take them where it may. Like, they're too busy counting themselves out that they never take a step forward. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. So I hope you guys, you know, really believe in yourself, man. Like, whatever you want to do, know it's possible. I know it's possible. You know, I want more than, I want you to know that. You know what I'm saying? More than I want good for your life, I want you to want good for your life. Because what I want for your life means nothing if what you want is in direct opposition to what I want for you. You know what I mean? So, I just want you to want good for you. That's what I want. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to end it on that note. I didn't really stay on topic at all, but whatever. I hope it was a good podcast. I hope it was worth your time listening to. Love you guys very much. And yeah, man, I'll see you on the next one. Take care.